So you just finished unboxing your new MacBook Air, and now as you're looking at the empty home screen, you wonder, what's next? Start by opening settings and scrolling down to trackpad. Trackpad is something that many new Mac owners have trouble adjusting to, so I recommend enabling tap to click. Now you click without clicking. That makes sense. I'd say that this is a must if you're switching from a Windows laptop. Then I also recommend adjusting the tracking speed. I don't like the default tracking speed. I want my mouse to quickly go from one edge of the screen to the other, even if I move it slightly, but you might want it a bit slower, especially if you are new to macOS. In the same menu, you can change the force feedback from clicking the trackpad. It can be firm and prominent, light and subtle, or medium. I usually leave it at its default strength, but it's a question of taste. Then to use the trackpad even more effectively, set up lookup to force click with one finger. Now, on any web page, I can just hard press and hold to preview the page or link without opening it. This is quite convenient, and I know quite a few people who use it all the time. Also, if you've never used a Mac trackpad before, set up secondary click to your liking. I prefer leaving it at click with two fingers, but there's also an option to make it more like on Windows laptops. Click in bottom right or left corner. Try each way and decide which option you prefer. And while you're still in trackpad settings, be sure to click through top menus and check out different gestures. Some of them may be new to you, like swiping between pages with two fingers or between full screen apps with three fingers. Pay special attention to app expose. By swiping down with three fingers, you can see all windows of the same app. Of course, this is useful only if you open the same app in multiple windows, but still worth remembering. If that's your first Mac, go to keyboard shortcuts. Click through menus and try to learn a couple. The general idea is that many macOS shortcuts work similarly to Windows, but some are different enough to need some adjustment time. Now we need to add a fingerprint. When you were initially setting up your Mac, you probably already added one. But for more convenience, I recommend adding another one. Go to Touch ID and click Add Fingerprint. Mac can remember up to 3 fingerprints, so choose your fingers wisely. And while we are in this part of settings, turn on Apple Watch. This way you'll be able to open your Mac with your Apple Watch, if you have them of course. The thing about setting up a Mac that makes it difficult is that by default, most things are set up in the most convenient way possible, and all the changes we do are purely a matter of personal taste. But some features may still need to be enabled by you. For example, optimize battery charging. Go to Battery and click on I next to Battery Health. Then turn on Optimize Battery Charging. With it turned on, your Mac will learn how to use it and adjust the charging accordingly. For example, if you're using your Mac plugged in most of the time, the system will automatically decrease the maximum charge of the battery to preserve its battery life. Let's make the system a bit more personal, shall we? Starting with the dock. At this point, I think you've already deleted all unnecessary apps from your Mac, so your dock is pretty uncluttered. In the settings, open Desktop and Dock. Here you can adjust the size of it, make it smaller or bigger. I prefer making it a bit smaller than default. Magnification parameter changes how much the icons grow in size when you hover your mouse over them. I don't recommend cranking it up. Better leave it at a default value. If you want, you can click on Position and choose where you want it to be, at the bottom, on the left side, or on the right side. To keep the dock relatively clean, be sure to turn off Show Suggested and Recent Apps in Dock. This feature can be useful, but most of the time it will just clutter your dock. We are fighting for convenience here, so turn it off. In the same settings, turn off Stage Manager. I'm not a fan of this feature, and it doesn't make using the Mac easier, so if you're a beginner, you don't need that. What you do need is hot corners. I simply cannot use a Mac without this. Apple lets you set up a custom action on each of 4 corners of your display. There are quite a few options, all are pretty basic, and I have my bottom left corner open Quick Notes. I know you're already tired of looking at settings, but we're almost done with them. We only have a few things left, such as Siri. I'm not gonna sit here and defend Siri. It's a pretty basic voice assistant, at least for now. But for a Mac and its simple tasks, even Siri will do. Just make sure it's enabled in settings. For added convenience, set up Hey Siri. You'll just need to read out loud a few words. It's real simple. Where you do have to pay a bit more attention is the control center. In settings, you can choose which icons you want to see. I, for example, prefer to have only bare essentials, only the status icons. Yet I'd say that you shouldn't chase the minimalism straight away. So at least turn on the battery percentage. It won't hurt you to know the exact charge of your Mac. Want to see a magic trick? And boom, the clock is now analog. Well, it's not exactly a magic trick, but a toggle in the settings. I can also make the time separators flash. Oh, I guess you're not really impressed. At least we're done with settings for now. Let's make the Finder a bit better. Open a new Finder window and in View, in the top left corner, choose Show Path Bar. This enables a path so that you always know where the files are located or where you're at. In the same menu, also turn on Show Status Bar, which will show you the number of files in any folder and the available space. In each Finder window, you can see a toolbar with different actions such as airdrop, creating a new folder, sharing files, labeling them, and so on. To customize this toolbar and add an airdrop button, go to View, Customize Toolbar. Here you'll see a bunch of different elements and buttons that you can drag and drop onto the toolbar. And check this out, there is even a burn shortcut. Even though Macs haven't had disk drives for years now, the last MacBook with a disk drive was a 2012 non-retina one. 12 years have passed, but the icon still remains. Funny, right? The easiest thing you can do when setting up a Mac is turn on stacks for the desktop items. Right-click on the empty desktop and choose Use Stacks. This will group all the files into groups and arrange folders in a grid. This is a very small organization trick, but I urge you to use it if you want to see a decluttered desktop and have space for widgets. To add widgets, swipe from the edge of the trackpad with 2 fingers and click Edit Widgets. This will open a menu with all the available widgets. And what's cool about the latest macOS versions is that almost all the widgets from your iPhone work here as well. Just pick any widget you like and drag it onto the desktop. The interesting thing is that you can put a widget anywhere on the screen, but only if there is no other widget around it. If there is, the system will only let you arrange the widgets in a grid. If you want to have more widgets, I recommend trying Locra Widgets. This app offers a relatively small selection of widgets, but some of them are really cool. I, for example, love this widget that shows the storage usage of my Mac, or the one that shows the data usage, where here is a fully working calculator. A magic ball is a fun one too. Should everyone watching this sub to the channel? Yes. There you have it, folks. Setting up a Mac would be incomplete without installing a few apps that fix fundamental flaws of macOS. For better window management, I recommend installing Tiles. This app brings that familiar window snapping experience from Windows. The app usually sits in the menu bar, and if you have any windows opened, you can change the window placement from there. Each position has a dedicated keyboard shortcut, so to be super fast with Windows, you can just use those. But you also can just drag the window to the edge of the screen and release it to snap it into place. This all is very convenient, and I'm really curious about why didn't Apple steal this from Windows. The app offers many position and size options for your apps, and it's hard to overestimate how much this all boosts productivity. Also, I like that if you try to drag a window to another place, it just reverts back to its original size. It's a small thing, but I do prefer having my windows in a specific size. To make things even better, I also installed Hazeover. This app helps with a big problem on macOS: poor separation between active and inactive windows. macOS doesn't do anything to let you directly know which app is active right now, and the only thing you can really do is always looking at the top left corner. Hazeover highlights the active window by dimming everything else, making it super easy to multitask. With Hazeover, it's impossible to forget which app is active right now or which Finder window is active. You can adjust the dimming strength from the menu bar. I like to keep mine at around 25%. This way I clearly see everything in other windows, but still easily understand which one is active. Oh, and it works with Tiles. No need to choose one app over the other, it just works. The next app makes it easier to delete unwanted apps. Typically, to delete an app in macOS, you need to open Finder, Applications, find the app, and drag it onto the trash can. This is all very intuitive and simple, but if you delete apps this way, you're likely to leave a lot of its files on your MacBook. Better way to do things would be to open App Cleaner and drop the app there. App Cleaner then scans your Mac and finds all the files associated with the app you're deleting. Then it lets you choose which files you do want to delete in case you want to delete an app and not your saved projects, for example. This app not only saves you disk space, but also helps macOS work better, especially in the long run. And to each person who buys a Mac, I say one thing: Install Drop Over now. This app basically supercharges the drag and drop feature. Most of the time, we tend to transfer files from just one folder, but there are cases when you need to transfer files from multiple folders. Doing it the classical way, aka one by one, is quite time consuming. With Drop Over, I can just select the files, do a quick wiggle motion, and a special window will pop up. Then I drop all the files there, and this way create a so-called stack of files. These can be any files like your typical clipboard, but better. From there, I can take all the files and drop them into another Finder window or anywhere else I like. If I click on these three dots, I get more options of previewing or sharing these files. I can upload them to Dropover's own cloud-based storage where they will stay for a few days, or to iCloud, or I can just take the images and create a PDF out of them. Very convenient. And to top it all off, you might want to install even more apps, and we have a great video right here. Thanks for watching, and see you there.